Hey guys, Sean Pruitt here, president of Kingdom Exploration. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East right now. The chess tables are being prepared, okay? Don't think for a second that Russia, Turkey, the Kurds, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Donald Trump, America, don't think for a second that everyone's sitting around a table and singing Kumbaya. I'm telling you right now, chess pieces are being moved, okay? Now, Donald Trump has made it very clear that he's never going to show his strategy in the Middle East. He said the Bush administration, the Obama administration were idiots for showing their hand, telling them what they're going to do before they do it. So Donald Trump right now is giving a report of what his plans are and what he's doing in the Middle East. That is complete garbage. Donald Trump will never tell you what his plans are. Okay? Bottom line, Donald Trump has an election to win. 2020, it's game on. 2020 is game on, and he wants to make it very clear that he's fulfilling his campaign obligation. So his main focus is America. He's interested in American oil. He could care less about Saudi oil, Iranian oil, Russian oil, Turkish oil, Syrian oil. He doesn't care about that. He is focused on American oil. And so let's watch this video. Keep in mind, Donald Trump is sharing only what he wants you to hear. Okay? Let's go ahead and start this.
Announce a major breakthrough toward achieving a better future for Syria and for the Middle East. It's been a long time. Over the last 5 days, you have seen that a ceasefire that we established along Syria's border has held very well beyond most expectations. Early this morning, the government of Turkey informed...
So he made it very clear. A ceasefire has been held against most expectations. They're actually surprised that they even held this long.
My administration that they would be stopping combat and their offensive in Syria and making the ceasefire permanent, and it will indeed be permanent. However, you would also define the word permanent in that part of the world as somewhat questionable.
He's making it very clear that there's no way we can control what goes on in the Middle East. And I've been saying this for years. Donald Trump is going to pull out. Donald Trump is going to pull his military out, and here we are. So it's all about American lives and American oil.
We all understand that, but I do believe it will be permanent. I've therefore instructed the Secretary of the Treasury to lift all sanctions imposed on October 14th in response to Turkey's original offensive moves against the Kurds in Syria's northeast border region. So the sanctions will be lifted unless something happens that we're not happy with.
So he's lifting up the sanctions to have an offense against the Kurds. Basically, Donald Trump is pulling military out. He's allowing Russia to take a stronger foothold. He's allowing Turkey to have a military front. He allowed Russia to take the oil in Syria. He is allowing things to escalate out there because he does not want to lose an American life. He doesn't want to spend American taxpayer dollars to fund a war that has been going on for hundreds of years, a religious war that's been going on for hundreds of years. And the reason why we have a military, the reason why we became the police for the Middle East is because of oil. We made a deal with Saudi Arabia. We said we will protect your assets, but you have to sell your oil in U.S. currency, making our currency the most dominant currency in the world. The petrodollar was born. Our relationship with Saudi Arabia was purely based upon money, greed, power, and that's it. And the Bushes have done whatever they can to maintain that power. Well, Donald Trump is not going to put money in the wrong hands anymore. Oil has funded mischief in the Middle East for years. 9/11 was funded by oil. And Donald Trump is not interested in losing American lives. He's not interested in putting money in the wrong hands anymore, and he's okay with the Middle East falling apart. Where has all this death and destruction come from? The Middle East. We have lost more American lives, more Saudi lives, more Syrian lives. All of these lives are being destroyed. Libya, Kuwait. You guys remember all the Bush wars, and Donald Trump is tired of all these wars. Regardless if you think he's an evil man or not, he's interested in saving American lives and bringing back American oil.
This was an outcome created by us, the United States, and nobody else, no other nation. Very simple. And we're willing to take blame, and we're also willing to take credit. This is something they've been trying to do for many, many decades.
I mean, at least he takes it. At least Donald Trump is taking credit for the mistakes that we've made in the Middle East. We've created this massive vacuum. We've caused a tremendous amount of destruction because we wanted our central banking system to take over. 95% of the transactions in the world are done in U.S. currency. Why? Because of the brute force of our military. The Libyan war in 2000, 500,000 people died. Why? Because Gaddafi, I think it's Gaddafi, he tried to prop up the denarii. And so what did we do? We sent our military in. We destroyed Libya, destroyed their banking system, and we installed our central banking in that region. And so our central banking system is in every single country except for North Korea and Cuba. And so we have used a military force to destroy lives, to kill American lives for greed, power, and money.
Since then, others have come out to help, and we welcome them to do so. Other countries have stepped forward. They want to help, and we think that's great. The nations in the region must ultimately take on the responsibility of helping Turkey and Syria police their border. We want other nations to get involved. We've secured the oil, and therefore a small number of U.S. troops will remain in the area where they have the oil. And we're going to be...
So we have not secured the oil. Okay? And so if you look here, let's see here, where is... So Trump's plan to leave some U.S. troops in Syria to guard its oil is now doomed thanks to Putin. And let's see here. Russia and Turkey are now poised to further derail its U.S. Let me move this to the right here. Russia and Turkey are now poised to further derail the U.S. limited presence through a mutual agreement. The two countries announced on Wednesday that Russian military police and Syrian border guards would enter the Syrian border beyond the area Turkish forces have assaulted to remove Kurdish groups. Brett McGurk, the former U.S. envoy to the anti-ISIS coalition, said Trump seems to not realize the extent to which the entire position in northeast Syria has unraveled and questioned the safety of U.S. troops. How would a small residual U.S. force be sustained without land supply? Bottom line, extremely difficult and high risk. We are pulling our military out of the Middle East, regardless of what happens. We have oil. We don't have any good reason to be in the Middle East anymore. And Trump's attitude is they've been fighting this war for the last 100 years. We should not be involved in a war with countries that are going to be at war for the rest of their lives. The only reason why we were there, because in the Yom Kippur War, Saudi Arabia cut us off from oil because we were giving aid to Israel. We were giving help to Israel. And Saudi Arabia didn't like that. And so the same thing that we do to countries that we're going against, we put sanctions on them. Saudi Arabia cut us off from oil. And so what did we do? We solidified our relationship to protect because we were foreign oil dependent. We're not foreign oil dependent anymore. We don't need Saudi oil. Okay? And so let's continue to listen to what he's saying.
Be protecting it, and we'll be deciding what we're going to do with it in the future. In any event, by the moves that we've made, we're achieving a much more peaceful and stable area between Turkey and Syria, including a 20-mile wide safe zone. Interesting term, safe zone. That's the term we're using. Hopefully, that zone will become safe. Thousands and thousands.
Hopefully, that zone will become safe. Donald Trump's not even confident in what he's saying. And again, I have to remind you, Donald Trump is not going to tell you what he's doing. Donald Trump is telling you exactly what he wants you to hear. He's not going to tell you his plan. He is trying to win an election, save American lives, and make America great again. It's all about America. He is pro-America. He could care less what's going on in the Middle East. There's been many politicians that they line their pockets with cash because Saudi Arabia is paying these guys off. And so now they do not have an American president that could be bought anymore because he's already a billionaire. Okay. And so I wanted to read something here. If you can see that there, Goldman Sachs, a major oil price rally is on the horizon. Energy forecasters see a worsening supply glut in 2020, putting OPEC in a bind. But beyond that, the bust could result in a boom as supply growth slows to a trickle. For 3 years, oversupply has deteriorated energy equity sentiment. Goldman Sachs wrote a note Monday that they presented an impossible choice for OPEC: cut output or let prices crash. The group chose to slash production in an effort to rescue prices. But in doing so, it arguably prolonged the adjustment by propping up unprofitable shale drillers. OPEC faces the same choice as it approaches its December meeting, and the prospect of another year of oversupply looms. However, U.S. shale is indeed slowing down. Theoretically, as shale drillers bite the dust in increasing numbers and rigs continue to get scrapped, the slowdown will help the market rebound, which could lead to a more durable price rally. Look, I've been saying this for years. Shale, it cannot be maintained. Oil prices at $50-something a barrel is not profitable for shale drilling, because shale, in order to go after shale, you have to spend millions on fracks. It's too expensive. Russia predicts the death of U.S. shale. Putin sees it as well. It's pretty obvious. I mean, if you read anything about shale right now, it's very negative. Okay. Now, President Donald J. Trump is ending the war on American energy and delivering a new era of energy dominance. Instead of relying on foreign oil and foreign energy, we are now relying on American energy and American workers like never before. Establishing energy dominance, President Donald J. Trump has implemented policies that increase energy production and advance energy independence. Today, President Trump visited Pennsylvania to speak at the Shale Insight Conference, highlighting the incredible work being done to usher in a new era of energy independence. President Trump's agenda is promoting a boom in energy production and manufacturing, advancing energy independence, and establishing energy dominance. Look, guys, there's no way that we can succeed under these prices. Now, I focus as an individual, as a business owner in the oil and gas industry. I don't focus on shale. Okay, shale's too expensive. Those are unconventional oil plays. I focus on conventional oil. Oil price didn't hit $50 a barrel until 2004. Okay, and I was excited in 2004. I was raising capital for a company called Transcoastal Partners out of Dallas, Texas, and we thought we were. It was the most exciting price rally we've ever had. Now we're at $55 a barrel, and we think they're low. Well, they're not. Not for conventional plays. Not for plays that are inexpensive to develop. What's expensive is shale. And so Donald Trump has to know this. I have half the knowledge of oil and gas that he surrounds himself with. He's a businessman. He knows that we cannot maintain shale in American energy dominance by these prices. He knows that. And so by pulling his military, see, look, the chess pieces are being placed Russia is getting a stronger foothold. They just took over. Trump surrenders 2.5 billion barrels of oil to Syria. Okay, Russia has taken over this oil. Russia has taken over the oil out there. So how can we be energy dominant if we're just giving oil away in Syria, letting Russia take over the oil? Because it's really simple. With Russia, Assad, Turkey, the Kurds, ISIS, Iran, Saudi Arabia, fighting for oil, what do you think is going to happen? The U.S. is pulling out. Why would Donald Trump pull Americans out of the Middle East? Because he knows that it's going to escalate out there, and he doesn't have any interest in pulling his military out unless it's to save them. Okay? And so Donald Trump is brilliant. He won a presidency that nobody thought he could ever do. He did something he did the impossible. He won against the American media, the newspapers. He won the battle, guys. This guy is brilliant. Our economy is booming. Okay, I don't care what the news says. I don't care what CNN. I don't care what all of the Washington Compost and the Clinton News networks. I don't care what they say. I'm here to tell you that America is the most powerful it's ever been. Our economy is booming. Unemployment rate is lowest it's ever been. I'm not here to support Trump. This is not what I'm doing. I vote for Trump. Okay? I don't trust every antic he's involved. I don't believe everything he says. But at the end of the day, my economy is the best it's ever been. And the oil energy dominance has never been here before. We went from producing 5-6 million barrels a day under Bush and under Obama to producing 16 million a day. He's ripping away all the red tape. Okay, now he's ripping away by unleashing America's energy potential, revitalizing local economies, and creating jobs. President Trump's policies are ensuring domestic energy prices remain low and improving the quality of life for all Americans. Abolishing the war on energy, President Trump ended the costly war on energy that hurt America's vital energy producers and cost American workers their jobs. President Trump has ended the war on energy by rolling back excessive regulations, which I really appreciate. The administration ended the job-killing policies put in place by previous administrations, like the Clean Power Plan and Stream Protection Rule. Guys, there was so many policies that were put in place because of Obama. He was interested in New World Order. He was interested in having a one world government. And the left and United Nations, they're pro clean energy, and Trump understands that if we go to clean energy, which is impossible, it's an impossible feat. We can't afford it, and clean energy is not clean energy. It's such a lie by the left side. And Donald Trump knows that American energy has it's almost 10% of our GDP. If we lost oil, we would lose our country. The American dream would be destroyed. And so the president announced he is pulling the United States out of the fraudulent, ineffective, and one-sided Paris Climate Accord, another BS program for green energy. Complying with the Paris Accord would have cost Americans billions of dollars and put millions of jobs at risk for no meaningful reduction of emissions. President Trump has opened up federally owned land and offshore areas for energy exploration and production. Guys, he is pulling the red tape. He's pulling out all the stops. He wants to pump so much oil in the markets to destroy the Saudi Arabia hold, the Middle East hold, Iran, because all of these countries are rich from oil, and all of the evil terror is funded by oil. And I'm sorry, guys, I didn't have the. I should have put this on the left here so you could see it better. President Trump completed a 40-year effort to open up the Alaska National Wildlife Refuge for American energy companies to explore and develop. Advancing American energy, the Trump administration is unleashing an unprecedented energy production boom and improving energy and infrastructure. Look, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't take somebody with a half a brain to understand. It is impossible to have an unprecedented energy production boom without higher oil prices. Shale cannot remain. Okay? Goldman Sachs, Putin, Russia, all the experts in Russia, Saudi Arabia, everybody, even me, is saying that shale cannot be maintained under these prices. Okay. Now, I think I already dumped enough information on you. I had a few other articles that I wanted to go over, but bottom line here, guys. Bottom line, the shale oil boom. The only way it could maintain its move, because people are being sent home. I've got friends working in shale in Colorado and Texas, all over the world, and they're being sent home right now. There's not a lot. The shale activity is dropping tremendously, and the investment for shale is dropping tremendously. And so I wanted to share with you guys. I'm focused on conventional oil plays. I'm focused on conventional oil plays, and I'm focused on doing a fund, okay? And so over the last 25 years, if I put every well that I drilled and completed over the last 25 years under one umbrella, and so instead of you investing in one well or two wells, you invested into an entire fund that spread across multiple wells, instead of 50% of the investors making money, 100% would have made it. And so if you look here, here's a little graph here. This shows 10 wells. 3 of them are dry holes. 2 of them are major barn burners. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are decent, okay? And so about 3 wells drilled are dry holes. About 7 of 10 are commercial wells. About 2 or 3 of the producing wells will be extremely profitable. So if we put 100 wells in a fund, let's say 200 wells in a fund, okay, over the next 10 years, everything that I develop is going to go under this one fund. And so if we have 200 wells under one fund, that means 40 of those 200 wells, 20% of them, are going to be barn burners, okay? And then there's going to be, and then half of them are going to be commercially viable, and then another 30% of them are going to be dry holes. Those 20% of barn burners are going to be very prosperous under the fund. And so this is my focus. And over the next 10 years, I'm going to put and over the last 25 years, this is where I've been focusing, is finding good oil properties. But I've been on both sides of the coin. The thing you have to understand, some operators never find a successful oil field. There's a lot of operators in Texas that they go their lives without finding a big oil play. They might go 4 years finding a good lease, and then they drill a well, and then they don't get any oil. Okay. And so I've been on both sides of the coin. You spend 4 or 5 years finding a good lease, you drill the well, and then I just wasted 5 years of my life. And so what I do now is what used to take me 5 years now takes me 5 minutes, because I was one of the first guys to advertise on the internet, and every single oil company had the ability to go to the internet and find me and show me their deals. So I cherry picked the best of the best deals. And instead of having to go through all the legwork that all of these other partners had to go through, I now take advantage of the work of these other gentlemen. And so I could look at 10 projects, and those 10 projects is equivalent to 50 years of effort and work and millions of dollars spent on geology, engineering, 3D seismic, geophysical. And I could look through all of that in a day and handpick the best. So, and I'm going to be putting those projects underneath this fund. So, all right, guys, I hope this helps you understand what's going on in the Middle East. I'm telling you right now, Donald Trump, it has his chess pieces being moved. Russia is digging in deeper. Turkey is joining forces with Russia. And Russia is, I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to become the oil energy dominant guy out there, and Russia is losing their butts. 60% of the GDP is oil, and they're losing money at these prices. Saudi Arabia, 90% of their GDP is oil. They could only break even this year with $80 oil. And so Donald Trump is a mastermind. He is making a mess in the Middle East, and he doesn't even care. He cares about American lives, American energy. He's pro-America, guys. All right. Hope that teaches you something. Call me anytime.